This is my disclaimer. I'm not saying names or places because these are my thoughts and no one deserves to be harassed over them. If you figure out who I am talking about, please do not go after them or the community. You won't be helping this situation, and you are actually the type of idiot I'm going to talk about. If you already know who I am talking about, please do not tell others who I am referring to. Thank you. There was a recent incident at a convention that involved a streamer I watch and the community that surrounds this streamer. It has led to two subjects for this video. One of them I've always kind of wanted to discuss, but I was concerned of how controversial it is. And the other is a subject I hate speaking on. But in the words of Mike Shinoda, I got demons inside me, so I'm faced with a choice. Either try to ignore them, or I give them a voice. The first subject is far easier, so I'll start there. Modern entertainers, such as streamers and YouTube content creators, enjoy a more intimate relationship with their audience. Everything they make or do has a running conversation, as it is being made, and there is an immediate interaction with the creator and the viewers. This is what big media like TV and movies struggle to do or just fail to accomplish. This is why YouTube is becoming the preferred media platform for a generation, and TV cables are being cut. As a futurist of sort, this brings joy to me as old monopolistic enterprises are being torn down by newer and freer ones. However, this hasn't been all sunshine and songs by a campfire. The problem with having such an intimate audience interaction is there are some that don't realize the terms of the relationship. And I am heavily air quoting that word. This somewhat synthetic intimacy has created a delusion in some that it's okay to take certain actions and interact with these entertainers in a way that isn't appropriate in day-to-day life. Such as showing up to an entertainer's house with your kid or touching said entertainer in an inappropriate fashion. Here's a pro tip. If you meet your favorite personality in real life, keep some rules in mind. 1. They are people with feelings and need to have their persons respected. They don't owe you their time outside of their regular platforms. Even if you are at a forum where they, for some reason, owe you some sort of interaction, don't do something that would get you fired or worse. This industry and some of these communities already have a huge harassment problem, and this world doesn't need your help. You don't own these people, and they really don't owe you their time. The best way to think about it is your favorite waiter, who you like not spitting in your food, is willing to hang out with you and talk about how your favorite food is made, and get to know you as a customer, and maybe as a person. You two still share a professional relationship, and that needs to be respected. If you and the waiter get close enough for the boundaries to stretch a bit, great. But both parties need to consent to that changing of the dynamic, and you can't force it. This sounds cold and cynical, and my perspective is jaded from working at more traditional institutions, but for the safety of all of those involved, for the love of God, please be courteous, because not only do you end up infringing on the rights and the space of the entertainer, you ruin it for the rest of the community, as you now have established a reason for them to distrust their audience. And it is these people who ignore this that will turn the current modern entertainers into the distant celebrities of yesterday, where they only interact in tightly controlled and monitored situations. Now, I direct this half of the video towards the entertainers themselves. Everything I have said up to this point takes precedence, but I would like to address another issue that arose. There are many tales of fans claiming that an entertainer they liked helped them through a rough spot in their life and may have even prevented them from taking their life altogether, and that's a humbling experience to be told that you helped change someone's life for the better. However, that influence comes with a few caveats. Your words carry more weight than the average person on the street. You now have a group of people that give your words more credence than they probably should. Can they take things too far with no fault of your own? Of course. But there will always be that underlying responsibility. In this particular incident, the streamer made a statement that can be summarized to that entertainers and artists are just such. It doesn't give you the right to infringe on their space, but they also added a statement which essentially said that they aren't a psychological professional, and they added they don't want you to come to them with your suicidal thoughts. For the record, I hate talking about this. When it came to a certain YouTuber in Japan, I decided to take on YouTube and those issues there, but I don't think I can avoid this conversation here. I would rather rant about the usual stuff like EA implementing crappy microtransactions or Fallout 76 having multiplayer when every other Fallout before it was single player. But I can't just ignore this conversation. Like the Shinoda quote, "I got demons inside me, so I am faced with a choice." I want to address this so I can at least get this out and not regret not voicing my stance on this. Now, as an entertainer, you are not the person to go for mental help. We can all agree to that. But when you word things in ways such as, "Don't come to me with your problems," or "I don't want to hear it," there is an issue with that. The person I'm referring to already acknowledges this and went on to clarify, but for future reference and for whomever may see this, I want to continue to clarify. Someone in that train of thought is already taking aspects of their life and looking at them through an incredibly negative lens. Even if it's an overall positive aspect they're looking at, the mind won't let them see those positive elements. With that type of thinking, seeing someone you look up to, or respect, or just enjoy watching, turn and say, "Don't come to me with your issues," can create a negative feedback loop in that if you don't want to hear their problems, they don't think you find their issues significant, and thus they think their issues aren't worth handling. Now, 99% of the time you don't mean it that way, but you aren't dealing with someone who's in a place to see it as such. At that point and at that time, they are struggling to look for some kind of thing to grasp onto. I know, that isn't your place, and you don't need to place that kind of burden on yourself to try and solve everybody's issues. That's asking too much of anyone. But understand, when you phrase it, such as "I don't want to hear your problems" or "Don't come to me with your issues," you are feeding that negative train of thought they are on. Now, if something comes from that, it isn't your fault. You can't predict how people will react to your words, but there does need to be a certain level of self-awareness. I'm not asking you to censor yourself. I'm asking, instead of telling people not to come to you, give them a place they can go. There are resources that a simple Google search will help reveal. Could they do that themselves? Yes. But again, you are dealing with someone who has the mindset that thinks there is limited help or they won't be understood. They see a Google search as a pointless, but a gentle nudge in the right direction can at least get them to look. I'm not asking you to take pity on every sap story that comes through a comment or a DM. These issues are going to take more than a friendly internet personality talking over a DM to work through. What I would like to see is just change a few words around. Instead of saying, "Don't come to me with your problems," say, "There are better people than me equipped to handle this. Please check them out." It's a few more words, but it offers a slight nudge in a better direction.